don't include background or medical examinations. So background, I said, was 2 millisieverts per year. A typical, let's say, a chest X-ray, bearing in mind that the annual limit you worked to was 1 millisievert. One chest X-ray is about 0.04 millisieverts. I say a whole body CT scan would be about 10, 20 millisieverts. So about 10 to 20 times the limit that you work to. Okay. So here are some, I believe, no, I don't think this is an industrial radiography accident, but I know it is. So first I'll start with whole body effects when you're exposing the whole body to very high levels of radiation, the sorts of levels that you people here will not be dealing with. 2 millisievert, we're talking millisieverts here, 2 millisieverts is your annual background radiation dose. When you start talking 500 millisieverts, you get your earliest detectable blood changes. Around, I'll raise that level up here, maybe around there would be your LD 50-60. 4,000, about 5,000, 4,000 millisieverts. LD 50-60 means half of your population, half of that exposed population will die within 60 days. And around 10 millisieverts, 10,000 millisieverts, that's more or less accepted as a fatal dose in the absence of any medical treatment. What is death due to? When you get a high dose of radiation, you kill your white blood cells and red blood cells, or rather the populations from which the white blood cells and platelets come from. So if you're killing your white blood cells, you're more prone to infection, just as you are if you get chemotherapy. And if you kill off your platelets, you're more prone to internal hemorrhaging and so forth. So death, when you're exposed to these large levels of radiation, is largely due to secondary infections and internal hemorrhaging. And the fact that it's due to radiation makes it very complicated, and that's all I'll say there. So that's whole body exposure to penetrating radiation. You can also get, as I mentioned before, very intense doses of radiation to local areas of tissue if you're putting a very high source of, let's say, in this case, gamma rays right next to the skin. So this is something that occurred, according to this, in just such a case. I think that dose is wrong, by the way. That should be about 20 sieverts. We're talking sieverts now, not millisieverts. So this is, let's say, someone who's, as I mentioned before, is found that lying on the ground. Oh, I'll give that to the boss later on, put it in his pocket here or something like that. 6 days after the exposure, you can probably see some reddening of the skin there. Day 15, you start getting tissue dying around there. That black stuff is tissue that's dead and will eventually slough off. And this is day 85 after the, actually that could be, no, that'd be well above 2 sieverts. But this person here seems to, I can't tell exactly, but seems to have had a skin graft as well. Later on I'll show you a table that tells you how long you can stay close to this source before you get, well, the table will give you the annual dose limit for workers, divide by 20 for you. And then I'll show you these pictures here. The difference is radiation intensity decreases very rapidly with distance. Conversely, it increases very rapidly with less distance. And when you've got a source like that right next to the skin, it can deliver very intense doses.